Welcome back, Truth Seeker. In the news, OpenAI and ChatGPT whistleblower found dead in his apartment. And the conclusion from the authorities is that it was SUICIDE, aka self-deletion. And there's been so many stories like this over the years. Whistleblower found dead, then it's blamed on they did it to themselves. And again, the stories come from the authorities that they did it to themselves. The police discover the scene. The medical examiner for the police says it was self-deletion. And again, this is part of our programming. This is part of our programming. And I think a lot of people know that when they see these stories that something very sinister is up. And I think just like me, they think, I doubt it's self-deletion. I think it's some kind of corruption. But then very few people will ever speak out against it or say anything about it. And again, it's a symptom of our society's bowing down to tyranny, being silent to tyranny. I like to bring up Martin Luther King Jr.'s it wasn't exactly his last speech. It was his last speech where he was covered in the news until the day of his assassination. But again, MLK did give the speech 1 year to the day of his assassination, April 4th, 1967, at the Riverside Church, a time to break silence. And he said in that speech that if you are silent to tyranny, you are part of that tyranny. So notice this 26-year-old was found dead on the 26th of November. And if you're not aware, the 26th of November is important to India. This was a young Indian man working for big tech. Again, if you've never been to the big tech campuses, it's mostly Indians. A lot of Indians, Chinese, some Russians, very few Americans, because the average American's education is not good enough to work at these places, and that should tell you something. Again, India spends a tiny fraction per student in terms of expense that the U.S. school system does. And that's something about with U.S. too, just all the taxation, all the expenditures, and what are the results? Again, India's producing way smarter people with just a tiny fraction of the money. But anyhow, that point aside, November 26th is very important to India because it's Constitution Day. And this year was their 75th Constitution Day. And this man, who was supposedly self-deleted on Constitution Day, he worked for Sam Altman, and he worked for OpenAI and ChatGPT. Again, those are Sam Altman's things. It says he worked for it for 4 years. The last year and a half, he worked specifically on ChatGPT. Again, you add in the Gematria piece. There's a song out there, Gematria, the killing name. There's another song out there, Murder by Numbers, where killing's as simple as ABC is 1, 2, 3. Again, that song's by The Police, the band The Police, Sting's band. Their songs, Every Step You Take, Every Breath You Take, I'll Be Watching You. Talk about predictive programming. And remember, Stuart Copeland, who's also in The Police, his daddy was in the CIA. But anyhow, ChatGPT has the Gematria value of 75. This guy blows the whistle on OpenAI and ChatGPT, and then he's found dead on the 75th Constitution Day when he's an Indian himself. Now, what makes this extra interesting is Samuel Altman, who's the father of these things, his name has a Gematria value of 75. And if you're new here, there are 4 base ciphers of the English language, the alphabetic order, the reverse alphabetic order, and both orders with numerology. And you can see those 4 ciphers on the screen. I wrote out the words order and OpenAI so you can see the comparison. Order and OpenAI happen to be the exact same in 3 out of the 4 ciphers. Again, what is the order of our times? Are we ruled over by a death cult? Cult that lies to us all the time, that controls us through screens? Is this a lot like 1984? How impactful has AI been on our lives for some period of time? Big tech's been using AI to censor content for nearly a decade now. Just wipe people off the face of the web because they posted something that went against mainstream narratives. They were called agents of disinformation, even though a lot of these people who've been wiped out, including yours truly, have been the only ones putting out any true information. Videos just like this, I've been punished for, deleted, suspended, suppressed. Again, this is information people need. This stuff's going on every day. But in light of Sam Altman, being ooish, I just want to remind about this New York Times headline. Again, part of the story is that this young Indian man, 26 years old, found dead on the 26th of November, again, Constitution Day in India. That part of the story is he had just blown the whistle by speaking out to the New York Times on October 23rd. The New York Times published his article October 23rd. So, notice. The New York Times had this headline, October 6th, 1940. New World Order pledged to Jews. And the interesting thing about that date, October 6, 1940, the date numerology was 10 plus 6 plus 19 plus 40, which equals 75. New World Order equates to 75. Order out of chaos equals 75. If you look into the man attached to that headline, Arthur Greenwood, he ended up dying in his 75th year of life. And adding to the intrigue, again, that was a New York Times story. Sam Altman, again, Jewish. From the publishing of his whistleblowing story to his supposed self-deletion was 34 days later. And notice, SUICIDE has a Gematria value of 34. We've seen this same pattern countless times. Been here for over 11 years documenting things just like this. This same pattern's happened so many times. Again, the word murder also equates to 34. According to the police, it was self-deletion. Again, the song Murder by Numbers is by the band The Police. And then what also makes this interesting is the man who's reportedly dead, his name equates to 113, just like artificial intelligence. And one of the most infamous movies about artificial intelligence is 2001: A Space Odyssey, which came out in 1968. The day of his article blowing the whistle on AI, and specifically OpenAI and ChatGPT, that article is from the day leaving 68 days left in the year. Actually, hold on. I did some early morning math. I'm going to take that one back. I'm mistaken about that. Actually. That's the day leaving 69 days left in the year. Apologies. 69 is an interesting number, too. It goes right back to the Jesuits. And again, the New York Times always been run by Jesuits. But yes, it was 34 days before his self-deletion. It would have been 8 days to the end of October, plus 26 days into November. Again, 34 days later. Again, if you're new here, 69 days left in the year. The Jesuit order equals 69. New World Order also equates to 69. Illuminati equals 69. Again, the Jesuits served the Catholic Church 69. The Illuminati was created in the time of the Jesuit suppression. In the time when this nation was being established, where many of the founders and people who came over here were trying to flee the tyranny of the Catholic Church. Again, the New York Times has always been Jesuit controlled. You look into big tech, a lot of Jesuits behind big tech. Again, the Jesuits gave us the calendar and the languages we know it and seemingly set up this system. And when you look at a headline like this, New World Order pledged to Jews, you got to ask who did the pledging. Again, Catholic Church has the Gematria of 75 and 69, just like New World Order. So anyhow, RIP to this young man if this is truly what happened. Again, there's so many lies in the media, it's hard to know where the lies end. I mean, Is it also possible they had this young guy come out and blow the whistle and tell the truth, and then he gets disappeared or assumes a new identity? Sometimes the media does try to drop the truth on us, and it often slips through the cracks and nobody notices. Like how many people actually read this article by the New York Times when it was put out. I remember the media making a big deal about it. By the way, this is on Fox News' front page this morning, this story. And today, it's a Saturday. It's December 14th, pretty fateful day. It's the day George Washington died with a Jesuit priest at his side. The same Jesuit priest who supposedly popularized Jesuitism in America after the suppression and all that business. But of course, we all know what happened in that little town in Connecticut, supposedly on this day, 12 years ago. Talk about murder. And again, that story used to undermine rights and liberties in America. But today, December 14, 2024, has a life lesson number of 34. You get that by adding 12 plus 14, which is 26. Remember, that was the big number at that school in Connecticut. But 12 plus 14 is 26, and then you just add the year, digit by digit. 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 4, which is 8 more, so 26 plus 8 is 34. So what a day for a story about self-deletion. All right. We'll leave it there for now, Truth Seeker. Again, thank you to everyone who hits the like and the share, and maybe take a minute to read that New York Times article where he blew the whistle. Until next time, everybody.